Namaste, welcome everyone. So first let's just set an intention to connect to the energy of Satsang. May we connect with our hearts, connect with our mind. And just take a couple deep breaths, feeling yourself get more calm, centered, relaxed, open, expanded. to get here, you had to have an intention. For the mind to move in a certain direction, you have to have an intention. To break through any limitations, you have to have an intention. To change your habits, you have to have an intention. To change your life, you have to have an intention. To develop different relationships, or better relationships, clean up your relationships and your connection with society, you have to have an intention. If you want to make more money, you have to have an intention. If you want to spiritually evolve, you have to have an intention. If you want to find some psychological healing or balance, you have to have an intention. If you want enlightenment, you have to have an intention. There are many aspects to our life. Each one technically has an intention that you don't know that's set for it. You can change it, but it's kind of set. Some people don't have a natural interest for spiritual development, so it's set, the intention is set low on the spiritual side. There's no interest, but it can be changed. Some people don't want to heal their mind, even if they feel like they need it. They're just born that way, they're just like that. Their intention is low, it's not uplifting. Some people might want to heal emotionally, but so their intention is there in the emotional body. Other people don't want to heal emotionally or mentally, but they have an intention to make their life work, so they put their attention there in activity. Some people have given up on their life working, so they put their attention maybe on creative endeavors or just kind of getting by. Whatever it is that you do in your life, you have some sort of an intention. When somebody starts with their spiritual seeking, they have to have an intention. There has to be some sort of an interest. Interest is like a magnet. It's what brings the energy of the cosmos to you. So when you have an interest, a desire, there's an intention at the background. There's something that you're trying to change. And that way of feeling into life and trying to make that change, you might not know how or where to make the change, but because there's an interest, you magnetize that energy. A lot of people misuse, in some way that teaching, and then they talk all about getting the things you want out of life, which helps you to become more, self-centered. The idea is to take everything in your life and uplift it to a healthier level. It's not about what you have, it's about what you do with the things that you have, including your body, including your the elements around you, the elements within you, and the material resources, finances. Everything is supposed to be used for some healthy, higher purpose. When we set an intention, it's because we're trying to get something. You could say, well, I don't want to get something, I just want enlightenment. But you want enlightenment, so you're trying to get enlightenment. So you're still trying to get something. As an ego, as a separate sense of self, if you feel that you're a you and you don't feel like you're the same as the universe, that is your ego. The ego is built to want things. So you kind of have to work with it. You can't just say, I don't want to work with it, and I don't want to, let's say, generate more desires. So I don't want to fuel it. If somebody's on the enlightenment journey, the idea is to become the desireless one. So get rid of all of your desires, which isn't building depression. It's finding a contentment that is universal. So to find infinite contentment requires letting go of the peaks and troughs of your experience, the highest and the lowest, and then you kind of get off this up and down motion of the roller coaster of life, the drama of life. Instead, you pervade through it, you participate with it, but you're unaffected by all of it. It's what we call detachment or non-attachment in yoga. So we have to set some sort of an intention because you want something. So if all you have is, in terms of what you experience yourself to be, you're basically 100% desires. You might not see that you're 100% desires because you might only look at certain things that you desire and say that's a desire. But you desire not to suffer, and you might not know that if you're comfortable. Like a drug addict who says, yeah, I'd like to be clean, I can do it, no big deal. And then when 24 hours passes or less and they haven't had the drug, they have a very different mindset now. Now they don't want to be clean anymore. Why? Because the comfort is going. Before they still had some in their system, and now they're not having it. So they're feeling emptier and rougher and lower and more uncomfortable. So now their desire for the comfort is rising because they're being pushed into the discomfort. They could just ride through it, let it get out of the system, and then feel higher and less controlled by the substance. But often people don't go that far. And it's not just with people who do drugs, it's with people who do anything. Whether one desires shopping, or they desire food, or they desire vacations, or they desire things, or new cars, or new jobs, or whatever it might be, new relationships. Whatever they desire is just keeping the status quo for the ego. You're just keeping yourself running. You're like a separating machine, running after the things that you want and pushing away from the things that you don't want, and you keep doing this forever. And this is the resistance going on within you. This is the battle. This is the war that you're fighting daily, that you might not even know that you're involved in. So, for most people, there's a confusion about their life, their self, their path, God, cosmos, universe, the purpose of life. There's a confusion. If the universe is what it looks like when there's no clouds, and then all the clouds have always been over me my whole life, I might not really know what the sky looks like without a cloud. I might not really not know what the sky looks like without the sun, or with the sun rather, because all I know is clouds and rain and heavier kind of storm systems. So I don't know what else there is. Part of the issue with setting an intention is that we don't really know there's an alternative. So most people think how I feel myself to be is how I am, and that's about it. What I can do is better my circumstances. And then so most of life is governed by setting intentions to better our circumstances. But there's another way of approaching life, which is not circumstantial. It's bettering the way that I understand life. Rather than it being a piece of the puzzle that I fix to change my circumstance to better my life, circumstantially, if we have to participate with it, we have to participate with it, but it just depends. I'm not going to get into that as a whole topic, so we'll stay more on this side. But to change the way that I relate to the circumstance changes how I feel. Instead of changing a circumstance to make myself feel better, you let the circumstance be. There's a lot of gray area and things to really go into on that topic, so it's not exactly the answer right there, but because action is still needed. But when possible, and when you don't have any control over anything, and there's nothing you can do, you have to accept it. So it means that you're choosing to change your reactivity instead of fix the circumstance. This allows somebody to become very tempered in their personality, in their emotions, and in their mind. This allows somebody to sit and meditate for long periods of time because they're not reactive, because they're not constantly, their mind's not moving back and forth, uncomfortable, needing to do something. So with a typical mind, there's a time limit to relax, and there's a time limit to activate, and there's a time limit. It's constantly you're kind of thrown inside of the time limit of the mind, which is basically when it's going to get super reactive to this side, or swing back and get super reactive to that side, and you can't sit still. It's like a pendulum that's constantly going back and forth and back and forth. So there's no contentment in that state. When we're not in a content state, what kind of an intention are you going to make? So it's going to be seeking comfort. You're going to mostly be circumstantially looking at your life and seeing what you can fix to better your chances at being comfortable for a longer period of time. That is how everyone's mind pretty much operates. So there's another way, which is looking within yourself and asking whether or not I can grow in understanding of the game of life and change the way that I'm relating to the objects that are around me, see them more crucial and kind of a part of me, and all integrated or a part of the one cosmic reality, the one conscious being, not separate from you, but actually as you ultimately, which might be too far of a jump right now in this conversation, but looking at whether or not you can see the place of everything is basically what makes you become non-reactive. If you see that everything is in order, even when things look out of order, you see the reasons why things happen. You don't get reactive because you understand. So ignorance is replaced by understanding, by depth of conscious awareness, by a choice to see beyond what our sensory system, emotional system, and limited mindset is telling us what's right and what's wrong, how things should be or shouldn't be. Depth of understanding will supersede or go beyond the limited function of mind, emotion, sensation, reactivity, and comfort making, circumstantially changing things just for comfort, where we can make change in circumstance, but it's not required for our own happiness. That would be the state where someone is free, jivan mukt. One is content regardless of circumstance. One is content regardless of what's arising around them. Within them, they would be content, so they wouldn't have to have conflict with what's arising. So this is not just a personal contentment. It's like there's no person, and all that's there is the cosmos. So the more that you feel your personness, the more that you are accidentally, you could say, entrenched in making decisions to change your circumstances to be happy, which is a bit of a rat race. That's what life looks like, when you look at TV and things like that, radio and movies, and hear about the drama of life. It's all about changing circumstances to better our odds so that we can have more comfort secured for the future. And it's not to say that that's wrong, but it is to say that it's not necessarily all of the intentions that can be set. That could be like life and world and limited intentions, but there's this whole other endless part of your being, which is the other 99%. It's not another 50%. It's the other 99.9 repeating percent. Everything you do in this life, circumstantially to better your odds, is like a very small percentage of who you are, what you stand for, and your purpose here. So it's an interesting thing, is that we get caught in the 0.00001% thinking that it's all that life is because we don't know anything else. So we never set intentions that are built to break beyond. So we don't tap into the power of intention. Instead, intention is small. And we might have an intention, let's say if someone has an intention to be like famous, think how small that is. For one, it's just for Earth. For two, it's probably for 5 years, because most people who get famous, it's maybe, or if you're lucky, you're famous for, I'm calling it lucky, but if you understand what fame is, it's not luck. It's kind of a curse. But you might be famous for 25 years. You might be rich and famous for 80 years, but then what? So the other aspect of your life, when you leave this realm and you carry on, what have you got to show for it? Nothing. So what are your intentions really saying about your level of intellect? Are you making wise decisions? If your choices and intentions are built for this realm only, or mostly, that's not indication of wisdom. That is an indication of ignorance. So you can and you have to make decisions in this realm. So it's not that that's wrong. But put it in perspective. It's 0.1% of all of the collective karma that you are. Previous action, current action, and in the future you could say unfolding of action. All of these karmic lines are constantly emerging, growing, intersecting, affecting. They're constantly unfolding, unfurling. So everything that you want, you're setting up to happen. It may not happen in this life, which means that you're putting yourself on another rat race for the future. You're setting yourself up in another karmic game for the next incarnation. Some people may not believe in different incarnations or life before this because you don't remember it, and a life after. But you're also not aware of your soul. And so then, according to the same logic, that means you don't believe in a soul. You know, and you believe that you're just a biological mechanism, that when it dies, it's done and you're over. So that's one of the reasons why people put so much stock in this life, in earth life, in this world, in this consciousness with this biological mechanism, this body. But it's your vehicle for this realm. You don't put this much attention in your car over yourself. If you do, you have an imbalance. And so if you're not really your body, but you put all this attention in the body and the realm that you live in, and you're not putting all the attention on the true you, then there's an imbalance. Just like a person who can succeed in many ways in life, but emotionally be imbalanced or mentally be imbalanced, that doesn't look like a healthy, good life. Yeah, sure, they've succeeded in some way, but it's over. It's either over now, or it's over in 10 years, or it's over in 20 years, or it's over in this lifetime at the end. So if it's going to be over, then what's the point? It's not to say that you shouldn't live, you shouldn't exist, you shouldn't have fun. It's to say that there's just more than meets the eye to who you are, to what your life is about, and why you're moving in different directions. So a lot of times people say, well, I set my intention, I do what I do, and I try to get it moving forward, but it's just not moving forward. Then this may be a life for you where it's just not going to move forward in certain ways, or it needs 50 years of you setting an intention to make it happen, or less, or it won't happen in this life. It'll happen in some future life. So the point is that you are setting intentions all the time, but what's the value of your intention? Are you setting intentions that actually matter? Are they really worthwhile? So you do carry your karma with you everywhere you go. Any life, any world, any realm, anything. You do carry that with you. You don't carry your money with you. You don't carry your relationships with you either. When you leave, you don't remember. So you don't remember your family before this one. You're not going to remember your family after this one unless you have a certain level of development spiritually. You may carry some of the memory for some time, but then it gets forgotten. So you have an idea of who you are, and you work in accordance to that idea. If you don't see yourself right, then your actions, your work that you're doing, may or may not be aligning with something that meaningful for yourself. And that's why a lot of people do things in life and they feel like ultimately it's not really that meaningful. And that's why, because you know better. Deep inside, you know what you should be working for. It's for something deeper, something truer, something more aligned with the principles upon which, you could say, your real core of ethics and beingness, your real principles upon which you stand. The center point, not to call it that actually, but let's just say center point upon which you sit, stand, operate, function from your innermost essence. So you have to make intentions that are meaningful. And the more meaningful they are, the more power is behind them. If you have a mind that says, oh, this is how you get more power to set intentions that actually work, great, then I can finally manifest what I want, then you're kind of pointing to your evolution, which is not so great. If you're still looking into this world to acquire yogic power to manifest this reality that you want, then you're still attached to the world and you're not actually looking for spiritual development. You might say you are, but the interest is showing otherwise. A person who is lost in spiritual consciousness doesn't have interest in the world unless it's for their particular dharma or seva. They don't have any other interest. So they are aligned with the truth of their being, and they work towards uncovering that deeper and deeper, further and further every day. So the power of intention means many things, but the power of intention, number one, is what power do you have? This is something that Swamiji put to many people way back. People had some question. He says, oh, we don't want to give our power away to a guru. And he just laughed and he says, what power do you have? You have power to do what? Make a little bit of money, do this, do that. Maybe some people like you, maybe they don't. Like, what power do you really have? You don't really have much power. Even if you had the power to run this world, you don't have the power to run all the other worlds. You don't have that much power. So you find yourself in this world in fairly, kind of powerless state. So then you have to re-empower yourself. This path to self-realization is a path to kind of re-empowerment. You are choosing to acknowledge the hidden power that you seek, that you are, and allow it to come forward. You're allowing yourself to re-tap back into that infinite power that you are, that you have access to. But then the question is, do you use it for the right things? Or do you use it for the wrong things? Sometimes you may get extra power in some moment, and you might fall trapped to that, use it for the wrong things. You might think it's the right things, because it benefits you. But it won't necessarily help you spiritually. You may think it's a boon, a blessing, but it actually might be a curse that you accidentally kind of brought to yourself because you trapped yourself in more of a karmic web, thinking that it's more comfortable, therefore it can't be much of a web, but yet you're stuck more than you were before. So there's something to be said about comfort sometimes being your friend and sometimes not. And discomfort, you could say, sometimes being your friend and sometimes not. You could also say that they're all your friend and they're all not your friend, but just to stick it this way. Sometimes when you're really comfortable, you don't try. You stop seeking, you stop caring, you stop wanting greater evolution because you think comfort is the highest evolution you can have and you've got it, therefore what's the point? Why try? Why bother? I'm done. And when you're uncomfortable, you have more of a sense of striving, trying, pushing beyond, breaking limits, working, past where you are to reach some other goal. It still may be comfort seeking because you're trying to find something more suitable for you. So in a sense, you're trying to find some paradise, as Swamiji calls it and laughs about it. Some heaven realm, some paradise. But if you're looking for enlightenment, you're not looking for that. If you were given a paradise, let's say, some higher, Swargalok, some heaven realm, you just easily, let's just pretend that you could be given it, but you'd easily give it to someone else. You'd pass up your opportunity so someone else can have it because you're unattached to all of the gunas, tamas, rajas, and sattva. You're unattached from all of it. The lowest, the middle, activity-based things, the passionate life, and which is rajas, very activity-based, and then sattva, which is the higher states of spiritual contemplation, connection, samadhi, and etc. You're ready to let it all go, to give it to anyone. And if the trade is that you take the lower karma of that being and you give them your higher, you do it, no problem. It's not a consideration for you, you don't care. Here, take it. And then you move on, you keep walking. The great idea of the Vedic path tied to the Himalayas, or Himalayas as we say in the US, and the Ganga, it's a path of walking, moving on. You sit for a bit, you meditate, you move on. You don't stay somewhere, you keep walking. Many times that's kind of the initiation. You just keep walking, you keep going. It's to remain unattached, to not get too comfortable, not get too set in your ways, not get too stuck in patterns and habits, not get too stuck in your associations and connections with people. You keep on moving, keep on walking. So it's a great tradition. It's not about running away, it's about just moving towards your goal, connected to your goal, alongside your goal, which is the spiritual energy that you know, if someone is doing that, then that's what they're seeking, that's what their intention is. So part of the understanding of the power of intention is asking yourself already currently, like, what power do you really have? Yeah, you can make some impacts, so better be good. Impact better be good for as many people concerned as possible. If it's just for you, then that's the normal life everyone else lives. So if you want spiritual evolution, psychological evolution, it has to impact wider than your own personal bubble, wider than family, because that's the next one we naturally go to. Impact me, get everything I want, okay, impact my next, the next, let me just keep expanding out. But to live like that means that you don't see the world as your family. It means you don't see all the other humans and animals and plants as your family. You don't see all the creatures in the body, out of the body as your family. And so that's showing a poverty of heart, poverty of mind, poverty of soul, poverty of connection. When you have spiritual connection, you will see an ant, a bug, a grasshopper, a cat, a dog, a human, a stranger, a family member, all equally as, let's not take it to the highest and say you'll see them as yourself, but let's at least say that you will see them as, like family, your beloved family. So you can take care of like some stranger, and you don't see it any different than taking care of family. They are your family. You take care of a tree, and it's no different than taking care of your family. They are your family. You take care of an animal, it's no different than taking care of your family. They are your family. So your sense of love, your sense of family, your sense of connection is more expanded than the conventional sense of what the society would label as family, or friends, or neighborhood. Like, it's not right to have some idea that whatever country you're in is more important because you're in it than other countries. Everyone's just trying to be happy. Everyone needs a shot. Everyone needs a little bit of a boost. Everyone needs some love. Everyone needs some help. It makes no sense to divide nationally and say our country's more important than your country. So every country is important. Everyone is important. Everyone should be happy. Everyone should feel loved. Everyone should feel supported. Everyone should be nurtured and cared for. Everyone should be given a chance. Everyone needs a chance. Without a chance, people feel hopeless and they get more destructive, and it leads a different direction. If you give love, you give support, you give a chance, it breeds positivity, hopefulness, inspiration, and trying. You actually want to try. So when you have this power, what do you do with it? What is the effect? You want to live a life where all things are concerned, or you're concerned rather with all things, and trying to make a positive impact. You might start with just you and people, but it's also you and animals, you and plants, and also elements. You might consider elements as not that important. If you haven't considered this, your loved one was built from the elements, and so was your body. If you don't have earth elements, then solidity means you don't have bones. What will your daughter, brother, family member look like without bones? That's not the only solid element, but I'm just kind of trying to make a bigger impact in the way that you visualize that. Without water. So imagine your loved ones with no fluidity, no movement, no blood. Will they be surviving that? So you need the liquid, you need the earth, you need the solid, you need the fire. Without fire, there's no warmth to your loved one. There's no metabolism. There's no chemical reaction going on inside of the body. There's no neural transmission. So what would your loved one look like and you look like without fire? And then wind, of course, air. Without breath, would you even be alive? Of course, with any of these, would you be alive? Would be the main question. I suppose without the bones, you could still be like a jellyfish or something, but other than that, what would you look like? What would you be able to survive? So, but it's something to really consider. You are not just existing on your own. You are supported by the elements. They deserve respect. You might say, well, they're not animate and this, that, and the other. First off, you just have collected a lot of ideas of what things are and are not. Just be willing to challenge what that is. And when you see that your body is built from the food that you ate, which is why in these great traditions is referred to as the Annamaya Kosha, which means foodstuff body, the body made of food, grains. More important to say food, because some people might say they're on a grain-free diet or paleo or so you want to look at the body as built from the things that it ate. So these things were not in you before. They were from the earth. The foods were eaten. They nourished your mom. They nourished, the whole process of gestation. They nourished the growing of the body that you now have and the whole process. And you carried on the food tradition to keep your body building and growing. So it's very interesting. You put these nutrients inside of this body, it grows more human-looking things. You stick those same nutrients inside of a monkey, and it grows more monkey-looking things. You take those same nutrients and you stick them into a cat, and it grows more cat-looking things. So these elements are being shaped by, you can call it genetic code or whatnot, but these elements are following orders. These orders you don't understand. They're following orders. They're just going in the direction of the mapping that has been given. The command has been given. It says, go make more monkey parts. Go make more human parts. Go make more dog parts. Go make more tree parts. Just because it pulls the nutrients from below and from the sun directly and from the rain, and doesn't mean that you're not doing the same thing. You're just pulling the things out of the earth. Instead of saying they're growing from below, you're just pulling them and then eating them on your plate. Really consider what makes this. So, not to totally take us away from the power of intention, but it's a good thing to think about, because you're misunderstanding your body. So if you don't understand your body, what power to heal it do you have? You don't even know what it is. You don't even know what built it. You think it's your body. That you're the body is even worst case scenario. You think that you are this thing that is appearing to others. So if you have limited thought, you have limited power. If you have limited understanding of what you are, you have limited power to go with it. With all limited powers, you're confined. You still may be super limited in so many ways, but have one part that's less limited, and therefore you succeed in some way in your life. And because you have 1 or 2 or 5 successes, you might think to yourself, you're a successful person, or you're a successful, whatever you feel yourself to be. But you'll feel the success, but there's so many ways that in a way you weren't successful. And if we don't have understanding, there's probably no hope, no hope to being that much more successful. And furthermore, if you have success, again, what's the value of that success? Did it really have an impact on many people in a positive way? If it had an impact on people in a negative way, you probably should reassess your life, reassess your decisions, reassess what you're involved with, investigate kind of how you somehow got into that karma. So we don't want to make more karma, or more mess for ourselves to work out. We're trying to work off the mess, work off the karma. That's why you're here in this realm. Those who see that work out their karma, and those who don't usually accumulate more karma. It's just as simple as that. So when you set an intention, you're effectively choosing in that moment to create a certain karma, a certain action, a certain intensity, a certain clarity, or lack of clarity, or lack of intensity maybe, or at least intense but in the wrong direction. So you could create an intention that's loving. You could create an intention that's hateful. So you have to have some wisdom and know what the impact will be. But it's very interesting to see how many intentions we set day to day and how little value many of them have in a truthful, deep way in our life. So when you really understand what intentions are, and you understand that these intentions may look like they're coming from you, but there's a power you're borrowing, just like your body. Your body you think is you, but you're borrowing the elements to have this thing. So your mind can set an intention, but you're borrowing that energy. You're borrowing. So when you set a sankalpa, it's not just setting an intention for self. It's not just setting an intention to, have something happen for yourself or be healthier or exercise more. It's not just a personal intention. You're setting an intention in a spiritual way. We call it a sankalpa because you're forging it with the help of the divine. You're setting an intention, but you're kind of recognizing through it or after it, okay, I'm setting this intention to, make a healthier life for myself. But you're realizing that it's not just your intention that's going to allow for that to happen. All of the energy around you is affecting you. You are a part of that. So you can invoke that positive, healthy energy and have it affect you in some positive way. So, likewise, you may sit down and say, okay, I'm going to practice meditating. If it's just you and God's not considered, how powerful do you think that intention is really going to be? So if the cosmos is what you meditate in every day, but you don't see it, invoking that presence and recognizing that it is there increases your chance of effective meditation practice. But if you choose not to recognize that, you shut out that other 99.9 repeating percent of the cosmos and state, I don't need its help. I can set my own intentions and I can meditate and learn how to do it all by myself, which makes no sense. It's like the body saying, I can heal myself all by myself and it doesn't matter what food I eat. That makes no sense. I can heal my body all by myself. I don't need any help. Your body's been helped by all the elements your entire existence on earth, your entire time. So likewise, your mind needs help to think correctly. Your emotions need help to uplift. We'll call it spiritual focus, but it's really just another aspect of mind, higher mind. Needs to learn how to expand or relax or raise its vibration, to stop looking at life according to the cookie cutter mindset that it's got. You might think that it's not a cookie cutter. You might even pride yourself on being original and not being stuck in how people think, but you're still stuck, or you'd be enlightened. If you're not enlightened, you are stuck. So, intention is a way of unsticking yourself. When you set an intention, you're kind of playing with the boundaries that you feel trapped by. So you may feel like you are a physical body, and you might not feel that you're any bigger than that. So you might set an intention to experience yourself bigger than the body. Maybe the body sits in you. Maybe the body is activated by you, empowered by you. Maybe you're not the body, but the body is something that you are using, turning on, moving around. It's the interface point for your spiritual awareness, for your higher consciousness, coming through the body, making contact with this realm. The body is the contact point. So to see yourself as just a biological creature that had a birth date and dies doesn't make any sense if you look at the big picture of what life is all about. So when you set your intentions, really consider a lot of factors. It sounds probably very contemplative to many, and some might say, well, I'm not very good at contemplating, so maybe I'll just do a little bit of it, but not too much. Contemplation is just you using your mind to corner your ignorance, so that you can break free from your own ways of being, living, feeling, thinking, relating, operating that makes no real sense. You might think they make sense, but that's why you challenge them. That's contemplation. And you adjust not just your thought, but you adjust when you get to the core how you actually experience life, how you experience yourself, how you experience God, which all turns into one thing, but at least in the beginning, you are altering the way that you are experiencing things. So the power of intention is not so much that you can set one, it's where it takes you. It ends at God. It ends at pure consciousness. It ends at the infinite self, whatever term you like for God. You can say whatever you want. It doesn't matter actually at all. But these intentions that you set are your lifeline. Actually, one part. If God throws you an inner tube, you still have to grab it. So you don't just let it float by and say, God never helped. So God throws an inner tube. When you're drowning in the ocean, you need to reach out and grab it. Your intention setting, your sankalpa, as we call it, is a way of moving the mind in a way to grab a hold of these higher vibrations, of these God-given, so to speak, God-emanating vibrations of reality or life. It's how you help yourself out from being stranded, from feeling disconnected, from feeling non-spiritual, from feeling unable to accomplish. And it's also to help you get out of the rut of feeling too personal, like you're an accomplisher. Because it's not just about you. Everything in this universe had to somehow, we can say, sort of conspire to allow your life to unfold. So it's not just about you. Without the elements, you wouldn't even have a life. You wouldn't even have a body. You wouldn't have a family in this physical incarnation. You wouldn't have any of this without the elements. So you can't look at your life as element-free. It's dependent completely on elements, just as your mind is dependent on thoughts. Your highest level of mind, I like to call it a spiritual mind, but I don't really want to confuse ideas, but we'll just say the highest part of your mind, we'll call it your spiritual mind. Its job is to set an intention for unity, somehow, moving in the direction of dissolving into the great vast ocean of pure, infinite, endless consciousness. So that is what your job is. It needs to be exercised daily. You may set an intention via your body and lower mind to make more money, get a new job, get relationships and all that kind of stuff, but you have a higher mind that wants to set higher spiritual intentions for upliftment, inspiration, increasing in love and awareness and enlightenment. And if you don't set that intention, then you're not exercising your full power. So you either exercise your full power or live limited. But if you believe that what you've got is what you want and all you can get, and you have a limited range of understanding of what's possible for you, then you'll probably set small intentions for your entire incarnation, and into the next, and into the next, and into the next, and into the next. Could be ad nauseum until you decide, okay, yeah, maybe I'll do that thing that I thought about doing a couple million lifetimes back. Setting intentions to merge more with the divine. Because the game does not stop in any life, in any realm, so you have to complete and move on. So we'll leave it there as a topic. It's a huge topic, so this is just actually kind of a glimpse into what it takes to set intentions, but you have to have an appropriate understanding of what you're doing and what you're looking for and how you're trying to reorient your life, or your intentions will always be tiny. And you'll think they're great intentions and great motives and great movements into your future to change things, but the question would be, are they really? So we'll keep that for deeper contemplation. So in that vein, as we continue into this, we'll just set an intention to connect to any higher consciousness that can help us shift into a different state or quality of ourself that allows us to see our life from kind of a bird's eye view from the outside in. It really helps you to get a perspective on the limited incarnational cycle that your body is going through, that you might feel you are going through, from birth to death. And when you get that perspective, it changes things. So the intention is that we're opening to any energy, higher consciousness energy, that allows us to have kind of more of a bird's eye view of our life. So we can get into the proper perspective and make healthier spiritual movements into the divine nature, instead of living in a disconnected, chronically disconnected state. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
Jyotirgamaya Vrityuma Amritangamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Vrityuma Amritangamaya Om Asatoma Satgamaya Tamasoma Jyotirgamaya Vrityuma Amritangamaya Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Loka Samasta Sukhino Bhavantu Hari Om Tat Sat Hari Om Tat Sat Hari Om Tat Sat Om Shanti Shanti
Many blessings. Hope you have a wonderful evening, and that tonight's satsang was helpful for you. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. See you next time.